We're going to continue our reading of the Ramacharita as we've been doing every week. Last week, where we left off, is Vibhishana surrendering to Sri Rama. Those men who worship anyone else, giving up such a benign lord, are mere beasts without a tail and a pair of horns. Recognizing Vibhishana as his own man, the Lord accepted him in his service. The amiability of his disposition gladdened the heart of the whole monkey host. Then the all-wise, who dwells in the heart of all, is manifest in all forms, though bereft of all and unconcerned, and who had appeared in human semblance with a specific motive and as the exterminator of the demon race, spoke words strictly observing the rules of decorum. Listen, O Lord of the monkeys, and O valiant sovereign of Lanka. How are we to cross the deep ocean full of alligators, snakes, and all varieties of fishes, most unfathomable and difficult to cross in every way? Listen, O Lord of the Raghus, replied the king of Lanka. Although your arrow itself can dry up innumerable oceans, yet proprietary demands that you should approach the ocean and request the deity presiding over it to allow you passage. My lord, the deity presiding over the ocean is an ancestor of yours. Hence, he will think over the question and suggest some means of crossing the ocean. The whole host of bears and monkeys will thus be able to cross the ocean without much ado. Friend, you have suggested an excellent plan. Let us try it and see if Providence helps it. This counsel, however, did not find favor with Lakshmana, who was greatly pained to hear Sri Rama's words. No reliance can be placed on the freaks of fortune. Fill your mind with indignation and dry up the ocean. Fate is a crutch for the mind of cowards alone. It is the indolent who proclaim their faith in fate. Hearing this, the hero of Raghu's line laughed and said, We shall do accordingly. Pray have patience. Reassuring his younger brother Lakshmana with these words, the lord of the Raghus went to the seashore. First of all, he bowed his head and greeted the ocean. And then, spreading some kusha grass on the shore, took his seat thereon. As soon as Vibhishana proceeded towards the Lord, Ravana sent spies after him. Assuming the false appearance of monkeys, they witnessed all the doings of Sri Rama and praised in their heart the Lord's virtues and his fondness for those who come to him for protection. They openly commenced applauding Sri Rama's amiability and in the intensity of their emotion forgot their disguise. The monkeys now recognized them as the enemy's spies. They bound them and brought them in the presence of Sugriva, the lord of the monkeys. Said Sugriva, Listen, all you monkeys, mutilate the demons and dismiss them. Hearing Sugriva's command, the monkeys ran and paraded them in bonds all through the camp. The monkeys then started belaboring them left and right. The demons piteously cried for help, yet the monkeys would not let them alone. Whosoever robs us of our nose and ears, we adjure him by Rama not to do so. When Lakshmana heard this, he called them all near him, and moved to pity, he laughed and immediately had them released. Give this note into Ravana's hands and tell him, Read, destroyer of your race, what Lakshmana says. Bowing their head at Lakshmana's feet, the spies immediately departed, recounting the virtues of Sri Rama. With Sri Rama's praises on their lips, they entered Lanka and bowed their head at Ravana's feet. The 10-headed monster laughed and asked them the news. Report me, Shuka, your own welfare, and then tell me the news about Vibhishana, whom death has approached very near. The fool left Lanka where he was ruling. The wretch will be now crushed as a weevil with barley grains. Tell me next all about the host of bears and monkeys that has been driven over here by a cruel destiny. It is the poor, soft-hearted sea that has stood as a protector of their lives. Lastly, Tell me the news about the ascetics Rama and Lakshmana, whose heart is obsessed with unceasing terror of me. Did you meet them, or did they beat their retreat on hearing my fair renown? Why should you not speak of the enemy's prowess and strength? Your wits seem utterly dazed. My lord, just as you have so kindly put these questions to me, so do you believe what I say, and be not angry. No sooner had your younger brother Vibhishana met Sri Rama than the latter applied the sacred mark of sovereignty to his forehead. When the monkeys heard that we were Ravana's, your majesty's spies, they bound us and persecuted us in many ways. They were about to cut off our ears and nose, but when we adjured them by Rama not to do so, they let us go. You have inquired, my lord, about Sri Rama's army, but 1,000,000,000 tongues would fail to describe it. It is a host of bears and monkeys of diverse hue and gruesome visage, huge and terrible. He who burnt your capital and killed your son Aksha is the weakest of all the monkeys. The army includes innumerable champions with as many names, fierce and unyielding monsters of vast bulk and possessing the strength of numberless elephants. Vivida, Mayanda, Nila, Nala, Angada, Gada, Vikatasya, Dhadimuka, Keshari, Nishata, Shata, and the powerful Jambavan are some of them. Each of these monkeys is as mighty as Sugriva, the king, and there are tens of millions like them. Who can dare count them? By the grace of Sri Rama, they are unequaled in strength, and reckon the 3 spheres of creation as of no more account than a blade of grass. I have heard it said, Ravana, that the commanders of the various monkey troops alone number 18,000 billions. In the whole host, my lord, there is not a single monkey who would not conquer you in battle. They are all wringing their hands in an excess of passion, but the Lord of the Raghus does not order them to march. We shall suck the ocean dry with all its fish and serpents, or fill it up with huge mountains. Nay, we shall crush the 10-headed Ravana and reduce him to dust. Such were the words that all the monkeys uttered. Fearless by nature, they roared and bullied as if they would devour Lanka. All the monkeys and bears are born warriors, and besides, they have Lord Sri Rama over their head. Ravana, they can conquer in battle even millions of yamas, death personified. 100,000 seshas would fail to describe the greatness of Sri Rama's valor, strength, and intelligence. With a single shaft, he could dry up 100 seas. Yet, being a master of propriety, he consulted your brother Vibhishana, and in accordance with his suggestion, he is asking passage of the ocean with a heart full of compassion. The 10-headed monster laughed to hear these words. It was because of such wits that he, Rama, took monkeys for his allies. That is why, confirming the advice of my brother, who's a born coward, he is persistent in demanding of the ocean, like a pet child, something which is impossible. Fool, why do you bestow false praise on the enemy, whose might and wisdom I have fathomed? Triumph and glory in this world are inaccessible to him who has a cowardly counselor like Vibhishana. The spy waxed angry to hear the words of the wicked monarch, and taking it to be an opportune moment, he took out the letter from Lakshmana. Sri Rama's younger brother Lakshmana gave me this note. Have it read, my lord, and soothe your heart. Ravana laughed when he took the letter in his left hand, and summoning his minister, the fool asked him to read it out. Beguiling your mind with flattering words, O fool, do not bring your race to utter ruin. By courting enmity with Sri Rama, you will not be spared, even though you seek the protection of Vishnu, Brahma, or Shiva. Therefore, abandoning pride, like your younger brother, either seek the lotus feet of the Lord as a bee, or be consumed with your family like a moth into the fire of Sri Rama's shafts, O wretch. Ravana was dismayed at heart as he listened to the above message, but wore a faint smile on his face and spoke aloud for all to hear. The younger hermit's grand eloquence is just like the attempt of a man lying on the ground to clutch with hands the vault of heaven, said Sukha. My lord, giving up haughtiness, take every word of it as true. Abandon anger and give ear to my advice, my lord. Avoid a clash with Sri Rama. The hero of the Raghu's line is exceedingly gentle of disposition, even though he is the lord of the entire universe. The Lord will shower his grace on you the moment you meet him and will not take to heart even a single offense of yours. Pray restore Janaka's daughter to Sri Rama. At least concede this request of mine. When Shuka asked him to surrender Videha's daughter, the wretch kicked him. Sukha, however, bowed his head at Ravana's feet and proceeded to the place where the all-merciful Lord of the Raghus was. Making obeisance to the Lord, he told him all about himself and by Rama's grace recovered his original state. He was an enlightened sage. He was an enlightened sage. It was by Agastya's curse, Parvati, that he had been transformed into a demon. Adoring Sri Rama's feet again and again, the sage returned to his hermitage. 3 days had elapsed. The crass ocean would not answer the Lord's prayer. Sri Rama thereupon indignantly said, there can be no love without inspiring fear. Lakshmana, bring me my bow and arrows. I may as well dry up the ocean with a missile presided over by the god of fire. Supplication before an idiot, friendship with a rogue, inculcating liberality on a born miser, talking wisdom to one steeped in worldliness, glorifying dispassion before a man of excessive greed, a lecture on mind control to an irascible man, and a discourse on the exploits of Srihari to a libidinous person are as futile as sowing seeds in a barren land. So saying, the Lord of the Raghus strung his bow, and this stand of the Lord delighted Lakshmana's heart. When the Lord fitted the terrible arrow to his bow, a blazing fire broke out in the heart of the ocean. The alligators, serpents, and fishes felt distressed. When the god presiding over the ocean found the creatures burning, he gave up his pride and, assuming the form of a Brahmana, came with a gold plate filled with all kinds of jewels. Though one may take infinite pains in watering a plantain, it will not bear fruit until it's hewed. Similarly, mark me, O king of birds, continues Kakabhushandi, a vile fellow heeds no prayer but yields only when reprimanded. The god presiding over the ocean clasped the Lord's feet in dismay. Forgive, my Lord, all my faults. Ether, air, fire, water, and earth, all these, my Lord, are inert by nature. It is Maya, cosmic nature, which brought them forth for the purpose of creation under an inspiration from you. So declare all the scriptures. One would attain happiness in life only by remaining where he has been placed by the Lord. My Lord has done well in giving me a lesson, but you have fixed certain innate treat for everyone. A drum, a rustic, a shudra, a beast, and a woman, all these deserve instructions. By the Lord's glory, I shall be dried up, and the army will cross over. but this will bring no credit to me. Your command, however, is inviolable. Thus declare the Vedas. I shall do at once what pleases you. On hearing his most submissive words, the All Merciful smiled and said, Tell me, dear father, some device whereby the monkey host may cross over. My lord, the two monkey brothers, Nila and Nala, got a boon in their childhood from a sage. Touched by them, even huge mountains will float on the ocean by your glory. Cherishing my lord, your greatness, I too shall help you to the best of my ability. In this way, my lord, have the ocean bridged, so that this glorious achievement of yours may be sung in all three spheres of creation. With this arrow, my lord, exterminate a race of vile criminals inhabiting my northern coast. On hearing this, Sri Rama, who was as tender-hearted as he was staunch in battle, immediately relieved the agony of the ocean's heart. The god presiding over the ocean was rejoiced and gratified to witness Sri Rama's astounding might and valor. He related to the Lord all the doings of those villains, and bowing to his feet, Ocean took his leave. The god presiding over the ocean left for his home. The idea of bridging the ocean commended itself to the blessed Lord of the Raghus. The story of Sri Rama's exploits in this Khanda, which wipes out the impurities of the Kali age, has been sung by Tulasidasa according to his own poor lights. The excellences of Sri Rama, the Lord of the Raghus, are an abode of delight, a panacea for all doubt, and an unfailing remedy for sorrow. Therefore, giving up all other hope and faith, ever sing and hear them, O foolish mind. A recital of the virtues of Sri Rama, the Lord of the Raghus, bestows all blessings. Those who reverently hear them cross the ocean of mundane existence without any bark. Thus ends the fifth descent into the Manasa lake of Sri Rama's exploits that eradicates all the impurities of the Kali age. Next is descent 6, the Lanka Kanda. Shlok. I adore Sri Rama, the supreme deity, the object of worship, even of Shiva, the destroyer of Cupid, the dispeller of the fear of rebirth, the lion to quell the mad elephant in the form of death, the master of yogis, attainable through immediate knowledge, the storehouse of good qualities, unconquerable, attributeless, immutable, beyond the realm of Maya, the Lord of celestials, intent on killing the evildoers, and the only protector of the Brahmanas, beautiful as a cloud laden with moisture, who has lotus-like eyes and appeared in the form of an earthly king. I glorify Shankara, the Lord of Kashi, the modern Varanasi, the consort of Girija, Himalaya's daughter, the storehouse of good qualities, the destroyer of Cupid, worthy of all praise, shining like a conch shell or the moon, most handsome of persons, clad in a tiger's skin, decked with dreadful ornaments in the shape of deadly serpents, fond of Ganga and the moon, the allayer of sins of the Kali age, and the celestial tree yielding the fruit of blessedness as wishes. May Lord Shambhu, the bestower of blessings, who confers on the virtuous even final beatitude, which is so difficult to obtain, and who punishes the evil doers, extend his blessings to me. O my soul, why do you not worship Sri Rama, who has the indivisible time for his bow and the various divisions of time, such as a paramanu, a twinkling, a moment, a year, an age, and a cycle for his fierce arrows? On hearing Ocean's words, Sri Rama called his counselors and spoke to them thus: Why delay now? Build the bridge so that the army may cross over. Listen, O glory of the solar race, said Jambavan with joined palms, your name itself, my lord, is a bridge by ascending which men cross over the ocean of mundane existence. It will take no time to cross this insignificant sea. Hearing this, the son of the wind god added, my lord's glory is a great submarine fire that had long since risen up the water of the ocean. But it was filled again by the flood of the tears shed by your enemies' wives. That is how it came to be brackish in taste. When the monkeys present there heard this hyperbolic remark made by the son of the wind god, they gazed on the person of Sri Rama, the lord of the Raghus, and smiled. Jambavan called the two brothers, Nala and Neela, and related to them the whole story. Calling to mind the glory of Sri Rama, start building the bridge and you will experience no difficulty. He then called the monkey troops and said, hear all of you, a small request of mine. Enshrine in your heart the lotus feet of Sri Rama and engage yourself in a sport, bears and monkeys all. Go forth, you formidable monkey troops, and bring numerous trees and mountains. On hearing this command, the monkeys and bears set forth hurrahing and exclaiming, glory to the almighty hero of the Raghu's race. They would lift up gigantic trees and mountains in mere sport and bring them to Nala and Neela, who in their turn carefully set to build the bridge. The monkeys brought huge mountains, which were received like playballs by Nala and Neela. When the All-Merciful saw the exceedingly beautiful construction of the bridge, he smiled and observed thus, this is a most delightful and excellent spot. Its glory is immeasurable and cannot be described in words. I will install an emblem of Lord Shambhu here. It is the crowning ambition of my heart. Hearing this, the Lord of the Monkeys dispatched a number of messengers who invited and fetched all the great sages. Having installed an emblem of Lord Shiva and worshipped it with due solemnity, he said, no one else is so dear to me as Shiva. An enemy of Shiva, although he calls himself a devotee of mine, cannot attain to me even in a dream. He who is opposed to Shankara yet aspires for devotion to me is doomed to perdition, stupid and dull-witted as he is. Men who, though devoted to Shankara, are hostile to me, and even so those who are enemies of Shiva but votaries of mine, shall have their abode in the most frightful hell till the end of creation. They who will behold Lord Rameshwara will, on quitting the body, go direct to my sphere in heaven. And a man who takes the water of the Ganga and pours it on the Lord will attain liberation in the form of absorption into my being. Again, whosoever adores the Lord in a disinterested spirit and without guile will be blessed by Shankara with devotion to me. And he who sees the bridge erected by me will be able to cross the ocean of worldly existence without any exertion. Sri Rama's words gladdened the heart of all, and the great sages returned each to his own hermitage. Girija, says Shankara, such is the way of the Lord of the Raghus. He ever loves those who take refuge in him. The clever Nala and Neela constructed the bridge, and by Rama's grace, their renown spread far and wide. Those very rocks that not only sink themselves, but cause even other things to sink along with them, floated like so many rafts. This is, however, not ascribed to any miraculous power of the ocean, nor to a virtue of the rocks themselves, nor again to any skill of the monkeys. It was by the glory of Sri Rama, the hero of Raghu's line, that the rocks floated on the ocean. They are dull-witted indeed who go to worship a Lord other than Sri Rama. Having completed the bridge, they made it exceptionally strove. The All-Merciful was glad at heart to see it. As the army marched, it was a sight beyond all telling. The troops of monkey warriors roaring as they went. Ascending an eminence near the bridge, the gracious Lord of the Raghus surveyed the vast expanse of the ocean. All the creatures inhabiting the ocean appeared on the surface in order to have a look at the Lord, who was the very fountainhead of mercy. There were many kinds of alligators, crocodiles, fishes, and serpents with bodies 800 miles in length and colossal in size. There were others who could devour even these. They, in their turn, were afraid of some other creatures. All gazed upon the Lord and would not stir even when diverted. They were all glad of heart and felt very happy. Covered by them, the water could not be seen. They were filled with ecstasy at the sight of Sri Hari's beauty. The army advanced on receiving the Lord's command. Who can describe the vastness of the monkey host? The bridge being overcrowded, some of the monkeys flew through the air, while others crossed over, treading on the backs of the sea monsters. The gracious Lord of the Raghus and his brother laughed at the sight of this amusing spectacle and marched. The hero of the Raghus line reached the other shore along with the host. The throng of monkey chiefs was beyond all description. The Lord encamped himself across the ocean and commanded all the monkeys to go and regale themselves on the delightful fruit and roots. As soon as they heard this, the bears and the monkeys ran off in all directions. All the trees bore fruit in the interest of Sri Rama in season or out of season, without any regard to the loss of time. The bears and the monkeys would eat the luscious fruit, shake the trees, hurl hilltops towards Lanka. If they ever found a straggling demon anywhere, they all hemmed him in and teased him not a little. Nay, they would bite off his nose and ears and let him go only after reciting to him the Lord's fair renown. Those who had thus lost their nose and ears went and related everything to Ravana. The moment he heard that the sea had been bridged, the 10-headed monster exclaimed in consternation with all his tongues at once, "What? Has he really bridged the waves, the billows, the sea, the ocean, the main, the deep, the brine, the tide, the hyaline, the Lord of the rivers?" Then, realizing his own nervousness, he laughed and left for his palace, forgetting his fear. When Mandodari, Ravana's consort, heard that the Lord had arrived and bridged the ocean in mere sport, she took her spouse by the hand, led him to her own palace, and spoke to him in the most sweet accents. Bowing her head at his feet, she spread the end of her garment as a token of supplication and said, "Listen to my words without getting angry, my beloved. One should enter into hostilities with him alone whom one may be able to conquer by wit or by physical force. The disparity between you and the Lord of the Raghus, however, is certainly analogous to that obtaining between a firefly and the sun. He who disposed of the most powerful Madhu and Kaitaba and finished the most valiant sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, nay, who bound Bali and dispatched King Sahasrabahu, so called because he was possessed of 1,000 arms, it is he who has descended on earth in order to relieve it of its burden. My Lord, you should not oppose him who is the master of time, fate, and the soul. Bowing your head at Sri Rama's lotus feet, restore Janaka's daughter to him. Then, handing over the kingdom to your son and retiring to the forest, worship the Lord of the Raghus. Sri Rama, the Lord of the Raghus, my Lord, is compassionate to the humble. He will surely forgive you. Even a tiger, the most ferocious of all beasts, will not devour a man if he goes submissively before him. You have already accomplished all that you had to do. You have conquered not only gods and demons, but the whole animate and inanimate creation. Holy men, my Lord, have declared this maxim that a monarch should retire to the forest in the fourth stage of his life. There, my spouse, you should adore him who is the creator, preserver, and destroyer of the universe. Renouncing all worldly ties, my Lord, worship the self-same hero of the Raghu's line, who is fond of the suppliant. The same Lord of the Raghus, the king of Koshala, whom the greatest of sages strive hard to realize, and for whom monarchs relinquish their throne and shed every attachment. It is he who has arrived here to shower his grace on you. If, my beloved, you accept my advice, your fair and exceedingly holy renown shall spread through all the three spheres. So saying, she clasped him by the feet, and with eyes full of tears and trembling in every limb, she added, my Lord, worship Sri Rama, the Lord of the Raghus, so that my union with you may last till eternity. Thereupon Ravana lifted Maya's daughter Mandodari, and the wretch began to harp on his own glory. Listen, darling, you are haunted by idle fears. What warrior in this world is my equal? I have conquered by the might of my arms not only Varuna, the god presiding over the waters, Kubera, the god of riches, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, and all other regents of the quarters but death himself. Gods, demons, and human beings are all under my control. What is the cause of your fear then? He thus reassured her in many ways, and once more went and sat in his council chamber. Mandodari was now convinced at heart that it was her husband's impending death which had turned his head. Returning to the council hall, he asked his ministers, how shall we proceed to fight the enemy? Listen, O Lord of the demons, replied the ministers. Why do you ask this question again and again? What is there to be afraid of which should engage our thought? Human beings, monkeys, and bears are our food. Hearing the words of all, Prahasta, Ravana's son, said with joined palms, transgress not the bounds of propriety, my lord. Your counselors possess very little wit. All your ministers tell you only that which is pleasing to their master. But that way you cannot succeed, my lord. A stray monkey sprang across the ocean